this. I'm sitting here, my thesis paper scattered like fallen leaves around me. And instead of writing, I'm Googling how to fix a tire. Let's talk about why we dodge the big stuff and how to get back on track. Hello friends, I'm Dr. Ru, a psychologist with over 15 years experience, and I'm here to unpack the human mind. My channel shows you easy ways to handle tough times and grow stronger. Imagine me back in my graduate school days. There I was, surrounded by towering piles of research paper. My thesis looming over me like a giant waiting to be conquered. It was a major hurdle on my way to become a psychologist. And let's just say, I was more prepared to run a marathon in flip-flops than tackle that beast. One day, I sat at my desk, determined to make a dent in my thesis, but then I noticed the dust on my bookshelf. Can't work in a dirty environment, I thought, and so I cleaned. Next, my gaze fell on a plant, Wilbert, looking a bit thirsty. Poor Wilbert, can't be neglected. I ended up watering him and then some of his friends. Before I knew it, I had reorganized my entire room, answered emails I ignored for weeks, and learned 3 new recipes. My thesis, however, remained untouched. As the deadline crept closer, my creative ways of avoiding my thesis reached new heights. I became a master at justifying my procrastination. I work better under pressure. I'll start fresh on Monday for a productive week. Spoiler alert, I didn't. 3 nights before my thesis was due, I found myself staring at my computer screen. Fueled by caffeine and the terror of not graduating, miraculously, I managed to finish it. But let me tell you, the quality of work done in a panic-induced frenzy at 3 a.m. is not something I'd recommend. Looking back, I realized my procrastination wasn't about laziness. It was about fear. Fear of not being good enough, fear of failure, and ironically, fear of starting. We've all procrastinated at some point or another. Sometimes we delay because the project we're tasked doesn't seem important to us. Other times, we really care about the project, but still find ourselves doing something else instead. In my case, instead of writing my thesis, I cleaned and rearranged my entire house, even though I knew this was important. Today, we're going to talk about why do we keep putting things off? Is it just who we are to sometimes procrastinate? Or are we not approaching our work the right way? Let's unpack this. But before we go into it, I invite you to subscribe to my channel so that you will not miss out on any additional videos with valuable information. So what is procrastination? Experts say that procrastination is when we keep delaying things we need to do, and it feels good for a little while, but causes problem later. It's like when I kept putting off writing my thesis. We all delay tasks at some point, but if we keep doing it, even if it causes us trouble, it can make us feel bad. A study in 2014 found that about 20 to 25% of adults around the world procrastinate a lot. This habit can lead into feeling sad, anxious, not feeling good about ourselves, having trouble focusing, and not doing well in school. Procrastination can also hurt our mental health, making us feel more anxious and making it hard to control our impulses. It can even affect our physical health. People who procrastinate feel more stressed and might not get medical help when they really need it. This can lead to a cycle of not feeling well just because we keep putting things off. So why do we keep putting things off even when we know it'll just make things worse later? Well, it turns out there are quite a few reasons, and they can make us choose the easy or fun things to do now, even if it's going to cost us more stress down the line. Tim Urban, the writer and the illustrator behind the blog Wait, But Why, introduced the concept of the panic monster as a humorous yet very accurate representation of how the emotional responses that drives chronic procrastination to finally take action. According to Urban, procrastinators have a rational decision maker in their brain, but it's often empowered by an instant gratification monkey, which only cares about what's easy and fun in the moment. This monkey is the reason why people procrastinate, as it constantly seeks immediate pleasure and avoids hard work or tasks that doesn't offer instant gratification. It also ties into the concept of the odd way we see time and value. Think about it. The excitement of getting something done feels less important if the deadline is far away. This is called called delay discounting. Think about it when you're trying to get a new phone. You might be promised the latest model if you can wait until your birthday, which is months away. But then you see a slightly older model on sale right now. Many of us would be tempted to go for the sale and get the phone immediately rather than wait for the latest one. We value immediate rewards more than future ones, even if the future reward is bigger. This concept hit home while I was working on my thesis. With the deadline months away, suddenly every other task seemed much more urgent. Yes, even cleaning the refrigerator felt like a priority. Now the panic monster is dormant most of the time, but wakes up when the deadline is dangerously close, or when there is a risk of public embarrassment or some significant consequence. When the panic monster wakes up, it terrifies the instant gratification monkey and finally forcing the rational decision maker back into the driver's seat to get the work done in frenzy of last minute panic. So the panic monster is essentially that rush of fear and anxiety you feel when you realize time is running out. It's the emotional jolt that breaks the cycle of procrastination just temporarily, allowing for a burst of productive activity to meet the deadline. Urban also says that while the panic monster is an effective motivator, relying on it is not a healthy way to manage tasks. It can lead to high stress and poor work. In my case, you'd think that something as important as a thesis, I'd be all over it, right? Wrong. The truth is, I found any excuse to avoid until the panic monster woke up. Suddenly, I was so scared of not finishing on time that I finally started to work really hard and fast to get my thesis done. But why do we procrastinate in the first place? Well, here are some classic reasons. Feeling bored. Sometimes the task at hand seems so dull that even watching paint dry appears more appealing. In the middle of writing my thesis, I found myself engaging in any activity that wasn't related to it, convincing myself that these were necessary diversions. It's a classic scenario. The less appealing the task, the more inventive our excuses to avoid it. Doubting our skills. At times, the root of procrastination is lack of confidence in our abilities. The thought of tackling my thesis filled me with so much doubt. Could I really contribute something valuable to the field of psychology? This self-doubt led me to seek comfort in tasks that had no bearing on my academic progress, simply because they were in my comfort zone. Fear and anxiety. Fear and anxiety is a powerful motivator for procrastination. The prospect of failure, or even just the possibility of not meeting my own expectation, created a barrier to getting started. In my case, the fear wasn't about health, but whether my academic efforts would measure up. Perfectionism. The desire to do everything perfectly can also lead to procrastination. I often found myself waiting for the perfect moment or the perfect idea to start writing. Ironically, this quest for procrastination often results in stagnation, not excellence. The perfect moment, I learned, is a myth. Progress, not perfection, should be the goal. Distraction. Let's be honest, we live in an age of endless distractions, with technology often pulling our attention away from where it should be. So during writing my thesis, the internet was both my research tool and my biggest source of procrastination, offering endless rabbit holes to fall into instead of focusing on my work. I found myself looking for places on Google Earth to visit and learned all about vegan food cooking and found some interesting, exciting recipes. Requires effort, and naturally we drift towards easier tasks. Research shows that the harder a task seems, the more likely we are to put it off. This was definitely the case when I was writing my thesis. The thought of all that research and writing felt so daunting that suddenly learning to cook vegan food seemed like a better use of my time. So what can be done? The trick, they say, is to make the task seem less painful, perhaps by breaking it down into smaller steps. This approach makes the whole thing feel more manageable. Another thing that you can do is connecting the work to who we are. Interestingly, how much we care about a task can affect our willingness to tackle it. If a project feels important to our sense of self or identity, we're more likely to see it as available and worth doing sooner than later. During my thesis writing, when I finally connected the dots between work and my future career as a psychologist, the task took on a new meaning. It became a part of my identity, not just another thing on my to-do list. So it's important to ask, can we outgrow procrastination? Let's explore an intriguing question. As we grow older, do we get better at not putting things off? Interestingly enough, research suggests that yes, many of us do improve with age. Consider this. Studies have found that younger people, especially those between 14 to 29, are the biggest procrastinators. But as we move through different stages of life, procrastination tends to decrease. A study from 2016 examined how procrastination changed across various age groups. What they discovered was quite revealing. The tendency to delay tasks diminished as we grow older. Now, you ask yourself, why does this happen? Researchers believe that there are several factors that contribute to this shift, but one key reason is personality development. As we age, we generally become more conscientious, meaning we are more likely to be careful, thorough, and diligent about our responsibilities. And this trait is not only advantageous to our work and maintaining healthy relationships, but also plays a significant role in reducing procrastination. Another aspect is how we perceive time. Younger individuals often have some more abstract concept of time, feeling as though they have all the time in the world. But as we grow older, the reality of time being finite becomes clearer. And this awareness motivates us to use our time more wisely and not put off important tasks indefinitely. I personally love Team Urban's idea of a life calendar to help us stop putting things off. Imagine your whole life shown on one big calendar, and each week of your life is a little box. Now, this calendar isn't like the one on your phone or on the wall. Instead, it's a big picture of every single week that you could live. Seeing it all at once can help with gaining some more perspective about the concept of time. Urban used this concept of a life calendar because he wanted us to see how many weeks we actually have. It's a lot, but it's not endless. And that's really the point. When you can actually see your life laid out like this, it makes you think about how you're spending your time. Thinking back, if I had this life calendar hanging on my wall while I was supposed to be writing my thesis, it would have been a reminder that every week I spent not working on it is a box that's gone forever. It's a way to make you realize that time keeps moving, whether you're doing what you should be or not. So the life calendar is a kind of a friendly version of the panic monster. It doesn't scare you like the monster does when a deadline is close, but instead it quietly nudges you every day saying, hey, let's make the most out of this week before it's gone. It helps you keep your eyes on the big picture and can motivate you to get moving on the things that you have been putting off. Remember, we've all been there, pushing important stuff like writing a thesis to the back burner while we get super busy doing, well, anything else. We've talked about the tricks our mind plays on us, from the trap of instant gratification to the scare of the panic monster. But remember, the power to break the procrastination habit is in your hands. So let's make a promise together to pick one task you've been avoiding and tackle it today. No more waiting for the perfect moment. The time is now. Let's get to it. Let me know what you're committing to getting done in the comments below. Thank you for your attention. I hope this discussion has been enlightening and empowering. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I'd love to be part of your journey. Until next time, I wish you love and light.